Hi, folks in video land out there. How y'all doing? Hi. So hopefully things will go smooth again this week. I think they went pretty smooth the last time around. I just uploaded the audio and video. Came out pretty good. So we're going to continue on, journey on. Our goal is to get more cameras. We have 1 and 2. And we're going to be working on a third camera over here. I actually have it up. I just got to get it together and ready to go.
Then it'll be camera what?
Then it'll be camera 3. So, okay, here we go. Guys ready?
Let's go for it.
Let's record.
Hey, GalaxyCast fans. It's good to have you here with this episode of the GalaxyCast. Yeah, my son was a little late on that one, so Gary did it for him. I have with me in the studio, of course, I am Bob Chrisman, your host. I have Eric, the artist.
How's everybody doing?
I have Austin, the numpty.
Bazinga.
And I have Gary, the stud.
That'd be me.
Okay, so we were all sitting here going, what are we going to talk about? There's been like no Star Wars news lately.
It's been a quiet week.
Yeah, it's like holiday season hit, and Disney's like, and we're out. I mean, they must be too busy doing like Frozen soundtracks and putting on big light shows at Disney or anything to actually really care about the Star Wars fans.
We went looking, and all we were finding was like, well, 2014, the year of Star Wars in review, what was talked about, and a picture of Bob Iger from Disney standing in front of the Millennium Falcon. Like, that's the big news.
Yeah, that's the big news for the week for Star Wars, which, not really that big of news. So I thought I would postulate a question for the gentleman in the studio here today, which may lead to a little bit of, maybe some minor debate. We'll see.
Oh, boy.
Fisticuffs, maybe?
Fisticuffs? Well, no, I hope it doesn't lead to fisticuffs. Although I think our last discussion over cosplaying may actually lead to some fisticuffs coming our way at some point.
I'll leave.
I was listening to that again. I was like, man, we went at it about costuming.
But we all agreed. That's the thing.
That was the odd thing. We didn't really kind of in a roundabout way agree.
But then people out there are probably not going to agree with us.
That's where I'm like saying I think we might be getting. I think there are people out there that don't agree with our cosplay viewpoint.
Probably not.
I do think it's out there. So here's my question to the studio audience and to you guys: who is your favorite comic book character, and why?
Oh, man.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm here for. So I'll let you guys chew on that one a minute. I'll let you chew on that one while I answer this one. Do you want me to answer first?
What? Just comic book character or hero or villain?
Let's start with... All right, let's do it this way. One comic book hero, one comic book villain.
Oh, man. Now you're putting me on the spot. I got like 5.
Yep, you got to pick one. So, I guess I'll start. We'll start with the heroes, because the heroes are always the fun one. So I'll start. My favorite hero is pretty obvious. Captain America. And everybody knows my favorite hero is Captain America. Now, a lot of people don't know why Captain America is my favorite comic book hero.
He saved you when you were a kid.
Everybody gets one.
Yeah. That's the one, yes. I got saved by Captain America as a child, and yes. No, actually, what I like about Captain America is he's the average guy. He's the average Joe who has a good heart, who's trying to do the right thing all the time, but just couldn't get in the army. Wanted desperately so to get in the army, could not do it. So instead, they create a way for this average Joe. And the one thing I always liked about Captain America was they picked that guy because of his intent. Not necessarily because he had powers, not because he was the average Joe, but he had a good heart and his sentiment was in the right place.
Well, I always loved that scene in Captain America: The First Avenger when he's sitting there talking with the doctor, and I can't remember the actor's name who plays him. The bald guy.
The bald guy, yep.
John something, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they have that discussion about why me, and he
Right.
tells him basically it's because you're the type of person who you don't want to give power to someone who's going to misuse it. You don't want to pick someone who's a jerk about things or thinks they're great. You want to give the power to someone who thinks they're not great and
absolutely
not deserving, and they're the ones who are going to appreciate it more and use it properly.
And I like the fact that Captain America, even though he gets this power, it doesn't go to his head. He doesn't, it doesn't overwhelm him at all. Even in the modern comics, as he lost his powers, he still felt a need to serve society, which it tells me a lot about Steve Rogers and the type of guy they're trying to portray. That's why I like Captain America. He's the average Joe who went to the next level.
Not that, but go back to what Eric was saying there. When they're doing the boot camp and all that, he's the only one that was really trying as hard as the...
Right. He jumped on the grenade.
Yeah,
right.
And whoever gets the
flag
down gets to ride in the Jeep.
Right.
He pulls
And
the pin.
everybody's trying to climb it, and they can't climb the thing. He just goes there, pulls the pin, and drops the
right.
flagpole down.
Yeah. Like he's not, he's a smart guy, like not street smarts, but like average guy smart. You know, what I
Common
mean?
sense smart.
Common sense smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason. I like the Shield, and don't get me wrong, all the other stuff's cool, but I just like the fact that to me it always gave hope to the average geeky kid that he could fit into society, and I think that's the story behind Captain America. Is the average guy has a shot at being a part of something bigger and better.
Might I add a point? Does this have anything to reflect on your influence of going into the Navy for one, like 5-year cadet
I only
corps?
spent 4 years there, so I no, honestly no. I although maybe it inspired my want to, but I mean, really, what inspired that was money. College, that amazing college money thing. You'll find out in a couple of years. Don't worry.
I'm already worried about it right now, so don't worry.
So it that inspired me more, but I don't know. It's the average guy story.
One
is
of the
what
things
like about it.
I always liked him as a character, and I always thought he was awesome and stuff. But when the first movie came out, it was good. But I didn't feel like I saw Captain America on screen enough, like the Captain I
Right.
knew. And then the Avengers came, and it was closer. He was better. I mean, he was able to deflect a hit from Thor, which
Right.
is much cooler, and he was able to do much bigger leaps and stuff. But he still felt underpowered to me, just a little. It wasn't quite there yet. Then the Winter Soldier came out. That was the Captain America
That's the one I know.
always wanted
Right.
to see on film. The guy who can ride a motorcycle at a jet fighter, jump up onto it, take the thing out, land, and keep going.
Yeah.
That's the Captain America I've always known
Absolutely.
from the comics, and I loved that movie from beginning to end. To me, that was one of the best Marvel movies out there. It's like right after the Avengers for
Yep.
being right up there. It was so good.
Yep, absolutely.
Eric,
real
what's
quickly,
what's really funny? I have an old Marvel comic book. My collection time was like mid '80s, early '80s to late '80s, very beginning of '90s. Got out right before the crash happened.
Yeah, I did too.
I have old comic books of Captain America where Marvel was trying to do this weird thing at the time by making them kind of real people, but not quite. Like it was taking place in our world, but not quite.
Yeah.
And they did I literally have a point in one of the comics where Captain America is thinking to himself. They're doing thought bubbles when they were big back in the '80s. He's sitting at a drawing table and he's talking about how busy he is because he's not only is he Captain America, but he draws the Captain America comic book.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there going, Marvel is making him the artist of his own book.
Yeah.
And it was just this, if you see it today, I got to find the panel. It's the corniest dang thing in the world that he's sitting there. I draw the Marvel comic book while I go out and rescue the world and blah, blah, blah. And it's right in the book, like right in the middle of the story. And I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. Even back then it threw me off. But then I, saw him when I was out for a long time. Then the Ultimates came out.
Yeah.
And I thought that version, which is what the movies are more based on, fantastic. He was a Captain America again who came back, who was, kind of more realistic and just
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed that. But it's just funny to go back to some of the early versions and see how corny he was at times.
Okay. Eric, since we're on you right now,
Okay.
how about who is your favorite hero? I'm looking for your picture here.
Okay, I'm gonna not be doing this for trendiness. This goes back to when I was a kid.
Okay.
My favorite hero was always the Vision.
Vision. Okay.
I know he's going to be big in the coming months because he's in Avengers 2. But going back to when I was a kid, we used to play superheroes. We'd be
Right.
out and we'd pick one and then we'd have this big running fight sequence and stuff. And I always wanted to be the Vision. I just thought there was something cool about this. His look was fantastic.
Oh,
Just
absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, bright yellow cape with the green body and the red face, the color scheme, and then his cool ability to the phasing, the hard as a diamond or as dense as air.
Right.
I just thought he had a neat ability. I thought that was a cool superpower. That he wasn't necessarily super strong. He had strength and stuff. His ability was that he needed to hit someone much stronger than him. He gets as hard as a diamond. He needs to fly. He de-densifies himself till he's almost as light as air, and he floated and flew that way more than he flew by magical superpower means.
Right.
Something about me, I always just really thought that was awesome. So I have loved the Vision since I was a kid. And it's not like I ever wanted to be him necessarily. Although once I shaved my head, I started telling everybody when Avengers came out, I said, "Oh yeah, Avengers 2, I'm gonna be the Vision. They're gonna cast me." Well, Paul Bettany got it, so much deserving. But I'm very interested in seeing their take on the character now, because after all these years of loving the character and thinking he was cool and loving the way he's had the density powers and stuff, is he gonna have density powers? Are they gonna completely ignore that part of it and make him? They've changed quite a bit. I mean, Jarvis is a person in the Marvel universe. He's a artificial intelligence.
He was well, it depends on which version of Avengers you read. Like, if you go back to the original, he was a butler. But then eventually, even Tony Stark took the consciousness of the butler and put it into a computer.
Right.
By the time that series ended. And then in the 80s version, he was just a straight-up supercomputer, but a computer. And then, he took different forms.
He was a butler in a lot of my collections, though. That's how I always knew him as the butler, not as
computer.
AI.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in seeing if they're going to do the Vision. And I've seen, drawings. I haven't actually seen the full costume in photo form. I've seen concept art. And it's the Vision. I mean, it's a movie-fied version. He's got extra detailing and stuff. But I'm like, they went for the bright yellow cape. They went for the red face.
Oh,
I mean, they did it.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very interested in seeing how it turns out. And I saw one thing that was so cool. I think it's fan art, but I'm hoping it's in the movie. There's a thing that showed like the Vision looking solemn, looking down or something, and they took a piece of the concept art, and there was a quote up top. It said, "Sir, what am I?" And obviously I'm hearing the Jarvis voice that Paul Bettany does, and underneath that it was Tony Stark. He said, "You're an Avenger."
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a great. I hope that line's in the movie, because that gave me chills. So I'm really looking forward to seeing.
And that's
how
my
they
only
do it.
disappointment with like what we've seen of the second Avengers movie so far is we have that great Vision. It seems like they're keeping that, but then when it came to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, we copped out. And Scarlet Witch, I liked her costume the way it was. The bright reds and pinks is what set her apart. And then to take that away, it was kind of like,
Yeah, the witchiness of it, the face mask, I can see that kind of funny thing she had with the points. It's very Batman-ish almost. I can see where they wanted to get away from that, but they really want. I mean, she's wearing like a skirt.
Yeah,
it's kind of a leather coat or something.
It just doesn't fit, you know.
I hope they do good with the character.
Maybe it's because they're going to hold off, and later when the Avengers switch around, they're going to give her that costume.
It'd be nice if maybe the movie ends and they make her a member of the Avengers,
right? And then she's got that costume.
She comes out with something near the end, or that's the after credit,
or even
tease
Quicksilver. Yeah, that would be cool if it was the after credit tease.
The old gypsy costume type.
That's what I mean. Yeah, something along that lines. But
I mean, they've proven they can make everything work. I love the things I see on TV where it's like, we don't know, DC, we can't make Wonder Woman work. We're not sure what we're doing with Batman now. We can't really make the TV shows tie with the movies. Marvel, here's a talking tree and a gunfire and raccoon. You're gonna love it.
Yeah,
it's like, we can make anything work.
Yeah,
make it as funny as heck.
And then the best thing about Marvel too is, I mean, they're even tying in, kind of average characters, at least to us in the Marvel universe, even into the TV shows, and bringing things in like that. Austin, your favorite hero?
Oh God, you
can't use God. That's not a hero you can use.
You're making it hard on me because I'm tied between Daredevil, Beast, Cap.
Nope, gotta pick one.
I know.
That's one. And your favorite hero is?
I have to say Beast.
Beast.
He's intelligent and strong, but he has self-doubt. In a lot of the things like X-Men First Class, they show the self-doubt and the fact of the matter that he wanted to be more human than he was the Beast, and he tried experimenting with a way to make him so he wasn't furry, to put it that way, and it made it worse.
So you're kind of liking the ugly duckling part of his storyline.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's the odd man out.
Always loved his humor, too. And at least in the comics, he was always a joker. He always had a good line.
The X-Men animated series, the original one, Dad made me watch it. I
didn't make you do anything.
He quotes a lot of famous people, like he says, I remember, in the I think the third episode, I'm always in haste, but never in a hurry. And then he says a name. I don't remember the name of that person.
I think that was...
though I'm always in haste, I'm never in a hurry.
I think that was a Plato quote, I believe. Yeah.
I actually liked Kelsey Grammer playing him.
I did too.
I don't mind Kelsey Grammer.
He did a good job. I mean, that's the voice I always heard. This intelligent, almost Shakespearean.
Yeah.
I know the movie around it, people hated and stuff, but I liked him as that.
See, I liked the Kelsey Grammer version too. I agree with you. Like, he sounded intelligent.
Yeah.
The only other person I've always said they could play it that Kelsey Grammer couldn't pull off would be like Patrick Stewart. Like he's got that acting.
Right,
you know what I
right,
mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that style that he can pull it off. All right, so Gary, who's your favorite hero?
Well,
I think I know your answer.
yeah,
but-
it's Colossus.
yeah. And why Colossus?
He's the gentle giant, very powerful, but yeah, he doesn't want to use his power to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not afraid to do it if he has to do it.
Okay.
And he's an artist. And,
Yeah.
A lot of people misunderstand him and stuff like that. So
I think the consciousness he shows and the guilt that he feels
Right.
sometimes too says a lot about Colossus.
All I know is when I first saw him, I thought his visual was phenomenal.
Yeah, oh,
the
yeah.
the design of him when I first saw the character in the 90s and he was before that, but
Yeah.
or 80s and he was before that. Just the look of him and the line work on the arms, the
Yeah.
idea of giving those kind of metal seams that made him feel like he was still solid and powerful but movable.
Yeah,
it was an
absolutely.
excellent design.
and when the legacy virus was around and all that, he's the one that cured it by sacrificing
But-
himself.
right. I was
for
gonna
it.
say he there were several times during the X-Men series where he made the ultimate hero sacrifice as Colossus, and
And how much is it the ultimate sacrifice when you come back?
well, yeah, I know. I mean, but how many times has Scott
Everybody.
has Scott done that in the X-Men, and how many times has Phoenix done that over and over and over?
Wolverine.
Well, her name's Phoenix. I can
Wolverine.
forgive her.
again. Right.
Wolverine did that a lot. I
Wolverine
think.
has
Wolverine.
Wolverine has sacrificed.
He's dead
himself
right
quite a
now,
few
right?
times.
Yeah,
Yes.
Wolverine's dead.
Yeah, and according to Marvel, he's going to stay dead for a while, at least a year.
Well, I mean,
Let's see, though.
they did Captain America, and he stayed dead for 2 years.
Yeah.
I was very impressed at how long they stretched it out.
Yeah,
So I think it was 2 years. It was somewhere around there,
something
and
like
it was a
that.
long time.
It killed me. Okay.
Dad's in his room crying, "No, not Cap, no!"
Well, there was a 2-year stint where I was kind of like, come on, just a Captain America comic, something. So, all right. So now we're gonna go to favorite villains.
Oh, boy.
So now we're on the flip side of that. My favorite villain. I'm actually gonna change universes now. I'm gonna go to the DC side of things
Okay.
because my favorite hero isn't. But my favorite villain is actually, to me, Captain Cold. And there's a reason. I mean, people know I like the Flash. It's obvious, but I like Captain Cold because he was created specifically to outdo the Flash, and that's his sole thing in life. Like he just hates the Flash, and he wants to freeze the Flash, and that's like his ultimate goal in life. Anything else is just stuff that's getting in the way of that. And to me, that's like the ultimate villain, like a guy who's just going right at somebody and nothing's gonna get in his way. And that's what I liked about Captain Cold. It was just dead on. This is what I'm gonna do. You know, you can't guess. There's no guessing with him. You know exactly what he wants to do. So that's why I like Captain Cold.
He's
a
also
straightforward guy.
had some very cool designs over the years.
Absolutely, yeah. And in the latest show, I don't know if you've been watching The Flash, I like the new incantation they gave in The Flash. I mean, so far he's not really overly tricked out or anything, but that's fine. I think he's going to
I
build
would
into
have
that.
preferred to seen that the blue and white jacket he always
I think
wore.
you're gonna. I
I
think
like
you're
that
just
one.
seeing.
I like that particular outfit he wore, the blue
Yeah.
and white.
I think you're going to eventually see
I've
that,
only
but
seen it in, like,
you
3
can
comics.
see that they're moving towards that. I think is what's going to happen.
But the goggles are awesome.
That's what I like about him. Yeah, the goggle and everything.
Freaking
Well, I
goggles.
loved the version, the glass helmeted. No, I'm thinking
Yeah.
of Mr. Freeze.
You're
Sorry.
thinking Mr. Freeze,
And that's
yeah.
my problem with DC sometimes,
Yeah.
is they do characters and it's like, let's do another version
Captain
of the
Cold,
character.
Mr. Freeze. Everybody mixes those two up.
Yeah.
For
Well,
some reason.
there's one of those cartoons that they made for DVD and all that, where they have all the cold people show up.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, I've seen that.
How many cold men are there in this thing? Anyhow?
No, I like Captain Cold's version, in the Justice book by Alex Ross.
Yes.
He looks really cool in there. He's actually
Yeah.
he's in the desert, and he's wearing
Yep.
like a safari outfit, but with the goggles and
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah.
I thought it was really a neat take.
Yeah,
on him.
I always like they kind of change him up every once
Yeah.
in a while. And that's what makes him cool. So, Eric, who's your favorite villain?
All right. There's some ways I could go. I could go intelligent with Ozymandias from Watchmen.
Yeah.
I liked him, but I can't do it. I could go, classic and say Joker with all of his. Can't do it. I got to stay Marvel.
Yeah, okay.
I got to go cosmic.
Okay.
And he's not even necessarily a bad guy, but he's portrayed as a villain, and that would be Galactus.
Okay.
He is
Destroyer
the only
of worlds.
eater of worlds, destroyer of worlds, but he does it because he has to.
Right.
He doesn't. He shows up, and there's times where he's like, I have given them ample time to escape. I'm now going to consume this world. Galactus is hungry. He must feed and all that
Right.
stuff. But he, the only survivor of before the Big Bang, an entirely previous civilization.
Right.
He's just always looked cool. Some
Yeah.
people think that the tongs of the head and the helmet. I just think it's an excellent, cool helmet. Some people think it's corny. I think it looks great.
Oh, I like the helmet.
There's just this mystery about him. He's a force of nature. He shows up. He's just this otherworldly, so far above us, barely we can even notice, or beneath his notice. He was great in the Secret Wars, the original Secret Wars, because the heroes start to fight the villains. He just goes off and is like, I'll just eat the whole planet. I'll build my machine, eat the planet, and I'll get the Beyonder to take away my hunger.
Right.
And I was always a little disappointed that he was able to be tricked by like Doctor Doom and stuff like that. I always felt like he should be way above that.
Right.
Always loved him as a visual. Always loved him as a character. And I think one of his coolest moments, one of the coolest lines about him actually came from Earth X.
Okay.
When Alex Ross was kind of telling the future history of the Marvel Universe, and he went, he'd done it with Kingdom Come with DC. He did it for Marvel. He didn't, unfortunately, draw it. I was kind of hoping he would, and he had other artists do it, but he was involved with the character creations and the concepting of it. And there's a moment where the Celestials come down, and they fight Galactus. Mm-hmm. And there's a great line where they say, combined, the Celestials might be able to beat him. But on an individual basis, Galactus would find their power wanting. and there's this great moment where he builds a quick gun, and he cuts one of them in half and just takes him out. So I've always thought he just has these epic, so far above everybody moments, and I love Galactus.
Cool. Austin, who's your favorite villain?
I have to say Ultron.
Of course.
He's super intelligent, and he's over super intelligent. He creates Vision, and then when Vision betrays him, he tries to kill him. Sorry.
It's okay. Vision's not dead.
That's what I was gonna say. That's the history.
Ultron he's always there. He comes in and out. He's adamantium, then he's vibranium, then he's changes metals all the time. And that's the kind of thing. He comes back, and it's kind of like the Joker escaping from Arkham.
How about this one? He never really truly dies.
His
consciousness never.
And I think that's going to be an idea
cool.
that they're going to play off of heavily in the movie. So? I think he's going to be. I don't know if there's going to be just there might be a main Ultron, but I get this feeling we've all seen the scenes of
the replicated
Autobots,
right?
And I have a feeling they're not all as intelligent as him. They're just like a mindless army that he controls. But I think they're going to play a lot with the idea of him being like the internet. He can just vanish.
Right, he's the consciousness.
Yeah,
he can just go wherever. Kind of Electro did.
Yeah.
He's the Marvel version of Brainiac.
He kind of is. Yeah,
there's a lot of that.
Yep.
There's another point I have to add. In Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Tony Stark destroys one of them, and then he jumps into all of Tony Stark's suits, and then picks up one that's in the Shield locker.
Yep.
And he takes over the helicarrier. Then in that episode as well, I believe he disarms Hulk and turns him back to Bruce Banner.
Yes.
And then also another note, in Secret Wars he pops up and he hits everybody else. He even hits Molecule Man in the group that is there with the villains. And he goes, "This makes no sense. I was destroyed just an hour ago. Now I'm here." Well, it makes sense. It makes no sense, but I will kill you all.
Yep.
That's his ultimate goal, is to kill.
Yep. All right, Gary, who's your favorite villain?
Mr. Sinister.
Mr. Sinister.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. And why is he your favorite villain?
Well, he's a geneticist at heart. Originally, he was. Apocalypse is the one that made him into what he currently is.
Yep.
And made him pretty much immortal. And he's always after Scott Summers and Jean Grey.
Yep.
And which is pretty much ironic because the only people that can actually harm him is the Summers.
Right. Well, don't we find out later somewhere along the way that they're related to them?
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't he another Summers brother or something?
No, he's like the ancestor to the Summers line.
Right. He was a pre-ancestor, right? Because he's older than Scott Summers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's
from thousands of years beforehand.
Yeah,
but
1800s is when he first came about.
Wow.
And the Greys and Summers families back then.
Yeah, we're all intermingled, right? Yeah.
And throughout the history and all that. And then when they go to X-Men Apocalypse, that whole universe there, he becomes like the Hitler
Yeah.
of the time, and he
you-
has Scott Summers and Alex Summers as his Gestapo,
Right.
hunting,
Yeah.
hunting other mutants and stuff.
Do you think he's going to pop up in the X-Men Apocalypse film?
I hope so.
I'm hoping so too. It would be really cool to see him and Apocalypse.
Who'd they rumor is going to
Working
play
side by
Apocalypse?
Gosh, it's
It's not Vin Diesel, is it?
no. The guy who played in Game of Thrones,
Oh, right, yeah, yeah.
Khal Drogo,
Khal Drogo. Yeah, it was the rumor so far.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah,
What?
Momoa. Thank you.
Sorry, I don't watch
Huge,
Game of
huge
Thrones.
guy. I mean, like if you've seen his stature, it makes sense for him to be. But I still think they need to go with like a WWE guy. You know what I mean? Like they got to find somebody who's like almost like Ultimate Warrior built. You know what I mean? And then put
the
crud
guy
on
that
him.
plays the Mountain in Game of Thrones.
He would actually be a good
He is
guy for
huge.
that role. Yeah, he's massive.
He makes Khal Drogo
Look small. You're right. You're right. Because yeah, absolutely, he's huge, massive. They gotta find somebody like that, like big, not just big, but big, bulky.
Just
big, you know?
today, I was looking online about, I guess, some college football player. There's a big meme about him now.
Yeah.
Sean
Oh,
Odell.
Odell, yeah, I think it's his name.
6'9", 280
they can't
pounds.
they can't find any equipment that'll fit him. Like they've got the biggest chest plate they can find for the guy. It looks like a freaking mini girdle
Yeah.
on the guy. I mean, they can't even fit in.
He looks like he's wearing a midriff bearing shirt because
Yeah.
the jersey is
because the
riding up on him.
jerseys can't hold it down.
God.
The helmet, they had to special order the helmet. The company who made it said it's the largest helmet they've ever made. They actually had to extract extra polyvinyl just to cover the head because they've never had a helmet that large before.
That guy in
Which the
little
guy,
coat.
yeah. But they have said that the guy hasn't even grown in.
Yeah,
Like he's not
he's
done
not-
growing
oh, yeah.
yet. He's still growing. I mean, imagine when he's going to be.
There's a whole meme about him now, and it's all these
Yeah.
things where it's like, Google, do you accept terms and conditions? Sean Odell, no. Google, okay, you can use this anyway.
So, all right. So now you know who our favorite good guys are and our favorite villains are. So what I want you to do is go over to the GalaxyCast website and click on that section that says "Contact the GalaxyCast" and let us know what you think. You know, who's your favorite villain? Who's your favorite good guy? You know, who are you into? Who's the guys and that you're into? And maybe we'll find out who everybody's villains and good guys are. Maybe we could debate some of them later on.
I'd like to hear it.
Yeah,
I want to hear.
'cause-
I want to hear some of your ideas so I can tear them down and tell you why the Vision's better.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you, why Captain America's the best, so it's okay.
I'm kind of leaning on Beast.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, Colossal and Clobber.
he probably would crush us all.
Okay,
Okay,
I do find
Keep
it
it up
interesting
on
that
you.
all of our heroes are Marvel. DC or
yeah, we're all
villains
over
we
the
split
map.
a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
but we're all Marvel.
No,
when it comes
only
to
one
heroes.
person split.
oh, that's right. Yeah, you
No,
went
Bob.
DC.
I guess I was the
For
only
your
one who
villain.
went to the other side. I go to the dark side.
And
I guess.
Apparently, we're Marvel people.
We are. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, Gary will even tell you most of the time I read Marvel comics. I very rarely read DC.
Well, no,
so-
I've looked at your comic book stack. This is the stack of Captain
Well,
America,
yeah.
X-Men,
I've got 3
Wolverine,
boxes of Marvel,
and then there's Justice
a half a
League.
box of DC. So, all right. So, tell us what you think. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll be back in a moment.
Better.
Okay. So there's that.
Yay.
Yeah, you're under control. You're good. I'd let you know if you want.
Yeah, I saw the signal.
Yeah, you'd have known.
Yeah, Gary would have signaled you with his fist. By the way, for those that are out there in the video land, apparently my son can't control his volume.
Yeah, it's been a problem.
That's why you're seeing me sit back every once in a while and do that. So if I'm doing that, I'm trying to tell him to turn it down.
Because you don't want to be too loud.
And that doesn't mean turning his mic down.
It's just saving Austin from having a bruise.
Twice I've hit myself in the head. I'm like off spatially tonight or something.
You're going off and floating.
Is that
around
because my
like-
studio's clean? Am I throwing you off
I
by
don't
that?
know. I don't know.
It's the feng shui.
It's the feng shui. It's
No,
the-
he's off and floating with Galactus. He's the next Silver Surfer.
Oh my gosh, look at the title of the next one.
Wait, where are we now?
Idiots Array.
Oh God.
We're on Gathering Forces.
Apparently there's a.
Okay.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, Path to the Jedi comes out this week.
Oh.
And then we go another couple weeks without a show.
Yeah. So we're fairly caught up.
We're fairly caught up, yeah. Okay. You guys ready? You guys
Roll.
Stay on target.
Stay on target.
We've been pretty good so far.
Well,
It
you
was
got
last
off
week we
to-
got way off.
Yeah.
Way off. Okay, here we go.
Well, I'm sure we're going to hear it from Mike. You guys just devoted half of a thing to superheroes and Marvel Comics and all that. And it's not Star Wars. Why weren't you talking Star Wars?
Don't care.
We're GalaxyCast.
Did I just say that? Okay, here we go. Okay, welcome back as we discuss this episode of Star Wars Rebels. I almost did it again. I almost said Star Wars Clone Wars. That would have been ugly. Anyway, Star Wars Rebels, titled Gathering Forces.
However, it's not that different. It's directed by Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Well, no, it's not actually.
That's next week's.
Yeah, that's next week's.
Oh.
This one was directed by Stuart Lee.
Numpty.
Whoops. Wrong look.
And that's why
Sorry.
he's Austin the Numpty.
That's right.
Okay. So, it's a continuation of last week's episode. We were pretty much left on a cliffhanger. We
Yep.
don't know what happened to Ezra's parents. And ironically, by the end of this episode,
We still don't
know what happened to Ezra's parents. And I was kind of like, that's the part I was actually looking forward to. I was hoping they would resolve that.
They were put in a trash compactor and squished.
Is that what the Dianoga is now? It's the
See
parents?
See, here's what happened. Nuke
Here we go.
and them were on
What was that
the
about, stay on
detention
target?
level. Well, they were in the next level up, and they didn't hear them yelling, so they stopped
Right.
the detention level, and the parents got,
Yep.
it just. No, wait, that timing doesn't work, anyways. Maybe I don't know.
Good.
Maybe when C-3PO was yelling, wrong one. Now he turned the wrong one on.
Shut them all down.
Nope, too late.
Oh, I couldn't save him.
Okay. So, long story short, at the beginning of this episode, we basically find out that, they're being attacked still by the TIE fighters and everything.
Look,
and,
it's dead.
Yeah, it jumps right in on the action.
Yeah, it
sequence.
jumps right on the action sequence. Still see the cool helmet from last week,
Yep.
the last episode. And we basically find out that they're not going to be able to get the Ghost. There's just no way. They can't get to it before it can jump to hyperspace. So, in a very smart move, the Inquisitor decides to put a tracking beacon on the Ghost and as it takes
Right.
off.
Well, it takes off because Ezra talks to his buddy there,
Yep.
trying to find out what happened to his parents. His buddy's still cloudy. Bits of information come out, and he just says, I couldn't save him or something. Yeah, he
Yep.
didn't. But he's still got all that information in his head. So when they're trying to jump to hyperspace, he comes in and is able to fix, because of his knowledge
Oh, that's right, yes.
in the headset, is able to fix their hyperspace drive.
Their
and-
hyperdrive,
And
yeah.
get them out of there real quick, and just does it by hand.
Yeah. Which makes me leery because I still wonder if this guy's ultimately linked up to the Imperials somehow with that little thing on his head. You know what I mean?
You'd think
thing that
they'd
makes
be
it
able to
look like-
follow that.
Like they've got a GoPro camera on there or something.
There's a tech guy on the Death Star. Okay, I'm gonna log into your headset and take it over for a minute so I can look at the problems here. Yeah, I can see Ezra's parents. Yeah, that's a file. We'll put that to the side.
Yeah. Oh, he's on Windows 8. That's an issue.
You need an upgrade.
We need to bring him to 8.1. Yep, there he is. Okay.
Well, let me run this program, and I can get you running a lot faster.
So they go into hyperspace with this beacon on. You would think by now, that they would have the technology. Do you think they'd have the technology to detect things like beacons?
Well,
thrown
no,
onto
because
a
remember
ship?
they don't know when they're low on gas. Remember, so how are they going to detect a beacon?
Yeah, if they can't tell if they're low on gas.
They don't have a gas gauge
Well-
in front of them in the cockpit.
I still think that the Harris Wookiee was in the rear gunner seat. And
Yeah,
he,
you're-
and he
you're
should have
still-
he should have seen that thing coming and attached to it.
Yeah. Notice who we didn't see a lot of in this episode. It was the Wookiee character. Where did he go?
Yeah,
Zeb?
Zeb.
Zeb.
He was in the
Like,
gunner,
barely in the
and then
episode.
he stayed with them. Well, we didn't see the whole Ghost when
True.
they separated off. So there was a large chunk of the episode that didn't even take place on the Ghost.
That's
But
true.
yeah, we saw very little. He stumbled down the hallway in the beginning. He had a couple lines after the fight was over. and
Pulled Chopper out of the way and got in the gunner seat.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It seemed better without. I don't know. Maybe I'm ugly that way, but anyway.
Races,
against Zeb?
races against Harris Wookiees.
So yes, I am. There you go.
And Dad's getting hate mail.
So we continue on with the episode. They do discover that the ship's being tracked because the weird Rhodian decides that, or tells them that the Sanar has the ability to track them
Right through hyperspace.
through hyperspace.
But Zeb kind of goes, yeah, right. And then he just mystically pulls out a hologram.
Yep.
He does the whole. Bring that back. Play that message back. I want to play the whole thing.
Oh, there it is. Oh, haha. Okay. So they decide that they are going to try to trick the Empire, and they're going to split the Ghost. And do we know what
The Phantom.
The
Phantom.
Phantom. Thank you. I knew
Sorry.
there was a name for the shuttle. I couldn't remember it. They're going to split the Ghost and the Phantom, and the Phantom is going to go back to the asteroid field.
Which
That
I actually kind of liked that they said, oh, here's something we remember from previous episode.
Right. They use
Let's
something
use
finally.
it. It's not like that's one thing that always bugged me about some of these TV shows is there might be a really cool planet or a really cool thing that happens, and you never hear about it again. You'd
Right.
think that people go back. It's just nature that we return to places, we use things again. I kind of liked that in this episode that they said, let's use this to our advantage.
Well, not only that, but they interconnected the storylines that way. Remember, we said one of the things we were complaining about a few weeks ago was the lack of interconnection
Yeah.
in storylines. We finally get it here.
Someone's
So
listening.
they take the Phantom off and they land on this planet.
Well, first they go through a trippy 70s rainbow
Yeah, right.
exiting of hyperspace.
yeah,
Oh,
They crashed into the droid that was in hyperspace from Clone Wars.
which you wanted to have happen. You know, that was the droids episode, right?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I don't want to relive those episodes though. Seriously.
Ah,
Ugh. Especially the walk through the desert. That took forever. So anyway, they go back
horse
to
with no
the
name.
what's that?
And a horse with no name.
And a horse with no name. Yeah. So they go back to the planet. They land. They know full well that this tracker's on there. Although, did you notice he pulls the tracker off almost as soon as
Well,
they
once
get
once
there?
they're there, he can just drop it and they're going to stay.
Right.
So
yeah. So they stay there, and at that point, shuttle Titanium set out after them. You know, this shuttle with the Inquisitor and a whole
well,
bunch
before
of
it gets
stormtroopers.
there, there's a teachable moment.
Yes.
He says, "I'm going to try and get you to
connect.
with these creatures here the way I tried to get you to
That's
connect
right.
with the cute little teeth squirrel back on the other planet." So, and they try it, you know, and he can't do it. He's not letting go or something. He's got fear. He's trying to tell him,
I
like,
seriously
let go.
was waiting for a Disney tune like "Let It Go."
Yeah.
Let it go. Can't hold the force back anymore. Like, you know, like crossover.
And
Sorry.
at that moment, I would leave. I have heard that song way too many times. I am.
And what
done.
did he say was his
I haven't even
problem?
seen
His
it.
problem was he
Good.
couldn't. He had too much. He said something, and that was his moment of
I hate it.
letting go of his fear. And then it was a nice shot actually when it cuts to pure silence, and all the animals are just sitting there blinking and just
Yep.
kind of sitting, looking. And I thought that was actually.
Well, he says he
edited nicely.
forgives his Rhodium
Oh
friend.
yeah, he let go of the hatred and the anger
let go
there.
of the hatred and the anger, and he forgave his friend, which I thought that was actually kind of cool. That they're tying the force and emotions together.
And he actually, the Rhodian got the message way
Right.
out in
Right out in
super
space.
far away,
Right.
Which was another hint, I think, to we talked about the Yoda episode
Yoda
coming
thing
up.
coming up. Maybe
where
that's where
there's
that's
voice
going to
can
happen
carry, yeah.
again. Yeah, so maybe that's how they're going to carry the Yoda voice is
Dan.
through space that way.
I imagine the little blinking animals is like kids early in the morning on school.
Well, they do
They
kind of
did.
show up. And they're kind of weird and freaky. They're just sitting there like,
First
You
period
know.
English, everyone's like this.
Yeah.
One of them should have been like scratching.
I know, like it's got fleas or something. You know, it needs a flea dip or something.
I imagine your first period class at school.
No, they're zombies, man. They're zombies. I could put brains in front of them; they still won't eat them. So anyway, they end up. Yeah, you're right, controlling the animals, and
And that's
just-
his plan, is to use the animals to
animals,
attack the
right.
stormtroopers and stuff when the Inquisitor arrives.
so the
Which I agree.
Inquisitor-
I agree with the Inquisitor. That's your plan.
Yeah, like, are you kidding me?
Really?
So the Inquisitor arrives with a good many stormtroopers coming out of the shuttle Tydirium, and they decide to attack them. And of course, it's ironic because the attacking works. The animals actually distract all of the stormtroopers.
Well, yeah, the stormtroopers pretty much.
So it actually, to a large extent, the plan worked in that they would have had to deal with the stormtroopers otherwise, but basically they were distracted by the animals. And it was kind of a cool moment with Kanan and him and Ezra just sitting there, and they just point,
yeah.
and the animals just take off.
Yeah,
So, yes, that's our infirmity for
Sorry.
GalaxyCast Star Productions.
We've got lots of coughing going on here tonight.
We've all had some colds. It's okay. So forgive us all. So
Which also, that one solo scene right there tells you that they're not clones no more.
right, this is correct because clones would have been able, I think, to hold off
Yes.
the animals. So this is proving that we're probably dealing with untrained troopers here that can't handle it. Maybe
it's conscription. It's,
right, they're not
brought in and-
right. Yep, and maybe they're not fully trained yet. Even you know what I mean. They're still training them on the fly,
Undisciplined.
undisciplined. Yeah, that
I think I noticed. I noticed in the episode there was one wearing a red shoulder thing, and
Paul,
then there
I
was,
saw that.
and then there was a white one.
I didn't see the white one, but the orange or red pauldron, I believe,
When
is
they-
the captain, right? Is that
I
the way
think
they? They're rank. Think of them as rank bars. The shoulder pauldrons.
But the
So-
shoulder pauldron, when they were walking in Inquisitors in the back, you have 4 to the right, orange, 1 white, 4 to the left.
Okay.
I just didn't know if that was.
Yeah, they're like
Major.
rank. They're like rank bars on an imperial officer. So they go in, they get distracted by the animals, and of course now the Inquisitor is going after the 2 Jedi.
Right.
And right away,
This is a problem I have with the show.
I'm forgetting his name. It's
Kanan.
not Zeb.
Kanan.
Kanan, thank you. Starts attacking the Inquisitor, and they start going at it in a lightsaber battle. And they're kind of equals at this point.
See, I didn't feel that.
Really?
This guy was just everything Kanan threw at him. He's just like block, block, block. You take a shot at me with your gun. I take the gun away. I send you flying. I felt this entire series.
He
every
did feel
meeting,
Darth Vader-ish a little.
every
yeah.
meeting between Kanan and this Inquisitor, the Inquisitor has always felt much more overpowered than the people he's meeting.
Yes.
And I think that's an attempt to make him menacing, but it's also making me feel like I don't like Kanan because I want him to be
more powerful.
I want him to be better at what he does, and he's not. He's like okay against stormtroopers and all this, and maybe there's a story there. Maybe he never finished his training. Maybe
I was gonna say maybe he was only a knight and not a master.
Yeah, and so
which
it's
would explain some things.
Yeah, and maybe he is just way out of his league. But
We're
it just
waiting for a future episode.
it's bugged me because I can't like a character when he keeps getting beat up. You can't
He's
get
not even
behind
strong
him.
enough to hold and stand up for himself.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
just-
Right.
Nobody likes it.
Unlike Zeb and Kalis, they're pretty much equal with each other.
Yeah.
With each other. On it, so.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. I kind of feel like Zeb can hold up, but for some reason you're right. Kanan never feels like he can. But maybe that's where the other character is going to come in. Maybe that's where the boy is going to... Ezra is going to be the balance. Maybe he can stand up for himself.
I mean, they showed some of that this episode,
Yeah.
but
So Kanan basically gets his rear end handed to him throughout that whole scene.
Yes.
He gets his butt handed to him.
it was nice that he pulled a gun. I thought
Yeah,
that was
and-
a little Han Solo-ish.
And then he just
but,
pulls it away
yeah.
from him. And then, of course, Kanan drops the lightsaber after he gets force pushed. Ezra picks it up. Like the best part of the whole episode. The Inquisitor just reaches out and goes, "Oh, that's mine." You know,
Yeah, he
like-
took it. That was really cool. But here's my question.
Okay.
How hard is it to put the straps that are on the bottom of umbrellas onto a lightsaber?
I know.
It's very.
And then these guys wouldn't
drop them
lose them,
anymore,
but
right?
they would. That whole
Yeah.
problem of them dropping these things all the time. It's like, don't you get like a little wrist tie,
Yeah, something.
something, even if it's like
I
a
mean,
pull
even
string.
the military's learned you got to put at least a bungee cord between your belt and the gun. So if you drop the gun, you just pull the bungee
yeah,
cord. You can grab the gun again.
These guys cannot hold
no,
on to these.
they can't
things.
hold on to them. Steve. Yeah.
The only problem with that is that if he force pulls it and then you're holding it too lightly, there goes your hand.
I don't think it'd pull your hand off. It'd
No, I don't
yank
think
you
so.
around, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
That might be a fun ride, actually.
Weave! Throw through the wall. Bye.
There's an amusement park ride. I think we'll call that
Force
the
pull.
Superman, right, Gary? Is that
Steely Dan. That's what
Steely
it is.
Dan? That's right. Yeah.
God. If y'all don't know, there was an inside joke.
My son, we were driving out to, what was it? It was the
Buffalo.
Buffalo,
The Buffalo
group,
game,
right?
yep.
And he's like, "Oh, we're near Steel of Man. No, Steel of Man.
of
Superman.
Steel ride.
And he meant to say Man of Steel, but he never could get it out.
It's just
So
over
we
the-
just over the hill. We go over the hill. Nothing's there. We were near Darien Lake, but it was the other way. But I didn't
Oh.
want to tell him that. And Gary and I both read the sign and saw it, but we just thought, we'll let him see how long he holds out for this.
You guys
so he's like,
suck.
it must be the next hill. So we go over the next hill, and there's this like warehouse being built there. And we're like, look, there's the Man of Steel. Wow, I didn't know you meant an actual steel frame. Okay, that makes
All right.
sense.
It's awesome.
And then as we're driving more, and we're making fun of poor Austin, I was like, oh, wait, I think he meant Steely Dan. That's what we're looking for. Gary's like, Steely, that makes so much more sense. Yeah.
Then we
How
go-
long did we go through that? That was like a 2-hour
Oh, yeah.
stint, wasn't it?
Then we go down to Allentown Comic Con.
That's right.
And we go past Dorney Park.
We're like, oh, look, there's the Man of Steel. Oh, no, it's not.
That reminds, and this is going off subject for just a
that's
second.
okay. We go off
This
subject.
was what reminds me of one of my favorite. If you remember Jack Handy from Saturday Night Live,
Uh-huh.
who did the quick reading,
Yep.
Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy. One of my
Right.
favorite ones ever was. One day I told my kid I was taking him to Disney World. Actually, I drove him to a burned out building and said, "Oh no, Disney World burned down." He cried and cried. I was going to take him to the real Disney World, but it was getting late, so we just went home. I think he thought it was a pretty good joke. That one always seemed so dark to me. It's like, that's a horrible thing to do to a kid. So you guys, like, look, the warehouse. Oh, they tore down the Man of Steel ride. It's gone.
Okay.
No,
so-
it's not as bad as a 25-hour drive down to Florida, passing Disneyland and not going in.
Yeah, that's a little frustrating.
hey, I took you the second time. What do
I
you want
know.
from me?
The first time you should have.
I'm sorry. We couldn't afford it at the time. Jeez.
Hey, Your dad got to see George Lucas and do his happy dance.
That's right. I got to pee in my pants because I met George Lucas. That should have been
There you
that
go.
moment right there.
Just, he
Okay.
didn't do his Fat Man dance in front of him.
No,
He
I
did.
I did it when you left. So anyway,
And you don't want to see it.
so this fight goes on, and Ezra ends up trying to pick up the lightsaber, gets it pulled away from him.
Right, gets thrown near a
Gets
cliff
thrown
edge.
near the cliff
because
edge.
all Jedi's end up near a tall ledge.
Why is that? Like, it's like they're attracted to cliff edges.
Yep.
I'm gonna go somewhere with. I would love to see one Jedi who does not end up near a cliff ledge.
Yep.
Like, fight a Sith anywhere but near a cliff ledge.
Mm-hmm.
Or-
You
or
could
a
go out
ledge-
do in the snow. I'd be happy with that.
A ledge
Ooh, I think we're
period.
going to see some of that in Force Awakens from the trailer. He's walking through
Possibly,
snow, and that'd be
yeah.
awesome.
That
A
would be
snow
awesome.
fight.
Oh, just stay away from a ledge period.
Yeah, like no ledges. It's like no capes. You know,
Because-
Incredibles.
because
No
Luke
gets-
ledges.
Because Luke got pushed into the carbon chamber freezer.
Yep.
And another ledge.
jumped out.
The ledge in Empire, and then you've
The
got
ledge in the Phantom Menace.
You got the Phantom Menace with Darth Maul. It's like, yeah, you
Poor
build, you
janitor
build,
had to clean up everywhere.
you
for all
build a
these
pit
people.
in Naboo, and you don't put a railing around
I
it
know.
because that'd be stupid.
I
Yeah,
know, right?
and then the one in Revenge of the Sith with Obi-Wan and
Yep.
Grievous. Or,
Yep,
Yep.
you got Return of the Jedi, and you've got the big
I'm
one
s-
in the Death Star where they throw the Emperor down. I
know.
mean, there's all
we
these
have to have a
dang
debate
ledges.
about ledges and Jedi somewhere along the way. I think they're attracted to ledges.
They cannot
Not to
stay
mention the
away.
ledges in Mustafar in Episode 3 that he almost burns in.
Oh, you mean no?
No, the points where the base is doing this
do it again.
and tilting downward.
hate you.
They're all on. It's just Jedi like to go and stand on edges. We just know this.
Anyway.
I need to
It's-
make a
it's-
T-shirt of that.
They're living on the edge.
Jedi's need
That's
to.
what the Bon Jovi song's
Jedi's
all
living
about.
on the edge.
I didn't know that. Oh, it was a Jedi
Okay,
theme
before this
song.
goes live,
They're
can I
living
get a
on an
drawing done that
edge.
says Jedi's living on the edge, and it's a sixth thing, and it's like Empire and Return of the Jedi and all of them.
all of them living on an edge.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
it's
sensing a
the
theme.
Jedi's and the Sith are all living on
We're
the
gonna
edge
have to
of
look to
glory.
see if Episode 7 has
Has
a ledge.
ledge.
Watch for the ledge in Episode 7.
You know, there's somebody in a cutting room studio going, "We're gonna put that in. Let's make that happen."
We need JJ reshoots.
Yeah. Filoni comes up to JJ. Hey, we gotta put a ledge in there.
Why?
Gary knows.
Yeah, said it.
Gary knows there's gonna be one.
Okay. So, wow.
All right, we're off topic.
No, stay on
We're not.
topic.
This is
Stay
very
on
on
topic.
topic.
Stay on target. Stay on
So-
target. Pff, oh, there
So
you go.
Ezra gets pushed to the edge. He gets angry at this point.
Yes.
He gets totally.
And I thought it was neat that even all the way over by Kanan, little pebbles start rising
start
off
rising.
the ground. He's like affecting the Force in a massive area around him.
And the look on the Inquisitor's face
It was kind of like
awesome.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
changes.
Shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh crap. You know, like.
This is not good.
Actually, what I liked about
Not
that was
good.
it reminded me of that scene from Darth Vader when he does, I hate the no, the no. But what happens around him, what happens around him was powerful. The fact that,
Oh yeah, everything
he
crushes.
crushes
He crushes the
steel.
droid.
Yeah, the droid gets crushed and the steel canisters all get crushed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what that reminded me of. It like it had that power where everything's lifting up off the ground, and this huge dog or whatever these things are comes out of.
Oh yeah, he summons
nowhere.
up the big one.
Troy Chan.
It did, yes, yeah.
He had the Fu Manchu mustache. And
He had the
everything
Fu
on it.
Manchu and everything. Yeah,
They look like new batch gremlins.
kind of. Yeah, the Gremlins, the new batch he was pointing out. Thing
Never
comes out
watched
of
that
nowhere,
movie.
and of course, I don't even think Ezra points, does he? He just
No, I think he puts his hand
does
out.
he put his hand out,
And
and,
the
the
thing
creature just
goes.
after the Inquisitor. And you pointed out that the Inquisitor's hitting it with a lightsaber.
And both of them.
Nothing's
Ding, ding.
happened.
Well, he never really hits it.
Ching.
He swings
With-
and he's hitting like the railing and stuff.
With the blue one, he's hitting them.
He actually
did
hit
he?
him a
Yeah.
couple times with the blue one, and the thing just looks at him.
This
like,
is why
"Crap."
Kanan's losing. His lightsaber sucks. It's his batteries are dying. Or
Right,
something.
yeah.
It's like
Well, he keeps gas screwed.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
he
say
does
if you,
screw it down,
if you stop screwing it together, it would probably
he's
work
made like a
better.
bad connection. It's got like half power.
It could be worse.
That might be why he keeps unscrewing it. It's because the batteries are going bad. You gotta
Could
save
be
the
worse.
battery
Okay.
power.
They need that. They need a scene where he walks into a room on the Ghost and just opens up. It's a room full of Duracell. Okay, it's just
And
be
then
worse.
integrated burning runs up. Should use these.
Could be worse. It could be the Family
But
Guy
I
one.
did. I gotta
Sponsored
say,
by Energizer.
I did like that he set the red one spinning and used it spinning like the entire fight. He had one
Oh, yeah,
normal
yep.
and one
The
spinning.
other one was spinning, yeah.
And I thought that was actually kind of cool. Look, it's the first time I've really liked that
red
double-bladed spinning lightsaber.
because it made it look like he was using a shield.
Yeah, it's almost
and
like-
a sword.
Yes.
Almost, you know.
It was neat.
That would have been better, I think, that design, if they'd have just stuck with the shield and the sword idea. Actually, it would have been really cool. But anyway, so Inquisitor gets
Huh. I wonder if we're going to see
distracted.
lightsaber shields in episode 7.
You really? Well, that might be.
Why not? We got the
We got the
We got the
broadsword,
broadsword.
and I could
It's-
see him going that route of maybe making it almost medieval fighting. That would
I
be
mean, we-
neat if they have a shield.
There's supposedly light whips, so why wouldn't there be a light shield?
Gungan shields.
Oh, hey, there you go.
But
Would those work with
smaller.
lightsabers?
No, those things seem to break pretty easy. When you got
gonna
hit.
say-
But smaller.
Yeah, a little
Just
smaller.
a small ray shield. That's all it'd be.
Yeah.
That's true, like an arm size
yeah.
ray shield kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
I wonder if there's gonna be stuff like
That'd
that.
be cool.
Because
Anyway.
it looks like they're going that route with the medieval fighting style.
Oh, absolutely, they are. Yeah. So anyway,
Sorry.
valid point.
Back on topic.
So we
So
hold
I
on.
like the Vision. I think he's the best hero.
Meanwhile, in another universe.
So we hold off the Inquisitor. Kanan wakes up finally out of his nap. He had to take a nap for a little while.
Someone
And,
knocked a rock on his head.
Ezra had fallen down. Kanan grabs Ezra, and he says,
Ezra's like says I'm cold.
"Yeah." He says, "I'm cold," and he's like, "Well, that's what's going to happen when you use the Force that much."
Yeah.
no,
Grabs
no, no,
him
no,
and
no.
It's
takes
more than
off.
that.
No, he
No,
doesn't
no,
say
no.
that yet.
He's-
Is this where he reveals like you opened yourself up?
He
to-
says that in the ship.
in the ship
When they get
later,
in the
right?
ship, he says,
He
"You-
goes,
you
I'm
brushed
cold.
the
I'm
dark
cold.
side."
Yes, I know you are. And then he
pick
carries
him
him
up.
off.
He's like,
and
let's just get you out of here.
He forks.
What happened was he tapped into the dark side.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So he
Picked up his
rushes
lightsaber.
off. Of course, the dogs continue to fight the.
Until it gets it does get its
Stormtroopers.
arm hurt. 'Cause I see he
Well,
finally.
I think he loses contact with the creature. Is what happens.
Yeah.
Really. Ezra loses contact with the creature, and the minute the two of them are out of range with each other, suddenly that creature is not as
attack.
Vicious,
bold
yeah.
as it was.
Yeah.
And now it runs off like a
But I
hurt
did see
puppy.
it had its hand hurt because it was dragging it
Yes,
as it left.
yeah.
And
Well, I
the
think that's
Inquisitor
because-
did hit it.
Well, yeah, and I think Inquisitor hit it several times before.
But with the red one though, because Khan had
there you go.
had
Yeah,
the little one.
that's true. So anyway, the creature goes running off. The Inquisitor really kind of wins that battle. They jump into the shuttle.
The Inquisitor throws his
before
They
blade.
take off. Yeah,
Before he takes off, he throws the saber,
blade.
it spins, and
And then,
kinda
okay,
just-
Another
finally-
kind of cool moment.
And finally, Kanan does something good. And he blocks, he deflects it.
yeah, in
you
a
know,
pretty
like,
good way
okay,
too.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
was like, yeah, thank you. You did something. Right.
I was just waiting for it to hit him and cut him and hurt him again because
Yeah.
he's such a wimp.
So they get in the ship and they take off.
And they blow up the other, blow up the shuttle.
Smartly,
Which I did like,
wisely, they
yes.
actually blow up the
I like that.
the shuttle on
that's
the way out.
thinking again.
Yep. And they take off and they meet up with the ghost. Now that's the point
Oh.
at which.
And the Inquisitor says, "My master will not be happy."
That's right. We talked about that. My master will not be happy, and we don't know who the master is.
You make the assumption.
I assume it's
It's
Vader,
Vader.
because they went back and recut that first episode where Vader talked to the Inquisitor and said, "End this rebel insurrection. We cannot put up with this." But we don't know
If there's another
that's
force
his
at
master
play.
if there's another person at play there. So they meet back up with the ghost and they talk about what Ezra went through, and basically the gist I get is Kanan tells him, "Hey, you just tapped in on the dark side, and when you do that, it's going to drain you and it's going to kick your butt, and oh, by the way, it may not be a smart idea in the long run because your emotions and the force being attached are not good ideas." And I think
felt
it's
like-
interesting.
I felt like that moment is setting up the Yoda episode. I
Oh,
get the
absolutely,
feeling
yeah.
that they're definitely going to, because he even says the line, I haven't taught you the things I need to teach you and stuff. And they're obviously setting up that Kanan is going to say at some point, you need to speak to someone better.
Yeah. I almost think because he tapped in on the dark side, maybe that grabbed Yoda's attention.
It could
Because he tapped onto the dark side. And Yoda's going to be like, oh, somebody just flicked into the dark side that shouldn't have, So, I don't know. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And I thought it was interesting at the end that nobody, basically Kanan says leave him alone. The only person that goes in there to talk to Ezra is the Sabine is the Mando, and she pulls up a hollow from his house and shows him a picture of his parents.
That
and all
it looks like a caricature he had done on the Jersey Shore.
I know, right? It looks
You
really
know,
bad.
It's a drawing. It's not even. Why not just put up a?
Have you
a
heard the
picture?
rumors that are proposed by that picture now? Because there's all sorts of rumors about what that picture means.
No, I have not.
boy.
Supposedly, what the pictures say is showing is that his dad is a clone because they're claiming that the picture shows someone that looks like Tamara Morrison. Now, I
Okay.
don't see it. I've seen this episode like 4 times. I don't see it. It doesn't look like a clone.
People
to
are
me.
going to read into things really
Absolutely,
deeply.
you know, and they're trying to say, well, that's the connection. That his dad was a clone, so therefore Ezra's part of the quote unquote clone family, and I don't buy it. That he's actually a clone family member with Force abilities, and does that mean that all the clones had Force abilities all along? And I that's such a stretch for me. It's such a weird stretch.
I hate to bring these episodes up. The droids episode, when they reach the one planet where the clone doesn't remember he's a clone, the Spec
Correct.
Ops clone, he looks like that particular character. If you go back and look at it distinctly and put him next to it, the beard
So
and facial
the entire
hair.
Rebels is based upon droids.
No, the
That's where they're tying it in.
Gregor that was on that planet.
Gregor, yeah, that was his name, was Gregor.
because he's got that facial hair. I'm thinking that's what they're going to try to. That's what they're probably.
That's a
pulling it off
stretch.
of.
If they do that, that is such a stretch that I don't know. That might take me out of the Rebels.
Yeah.
Mind. I hope they don't tie that in. I really don't. I don't want that tie in. It's too weird. It's too
Well-
out of the box.
I'd be okay with it because I don't think the clones ever had the Force at all. Because go back to Plagueis.
Yeah.
You can't clone
The Force abilities.
a Force person.
They tried
Right.
and failed miserably.
So I think maybe if there is any Force at all, it's the mom was
Had
Force.
had Force ability.
Right. Maybe she was the next Jedi or something. Maybe the general and clone trooper.
Yep.
I also have another question. Since Vader's the apprentice, can't he not be a master because of the rule of two?
Oh no, but the apprentices always have. Think of Dooku having Grievous.
All right.
They're
so,
always trying to get.
Again, you haven't read that book that I keep saying you got to read.
I'm
right?
trying to read from the tribes, the ones I got recently. I'm going to try to work from.
No, I understand that. In that book I was telling you about, okay, the one that Gary told me to read,
Plagueis.
Plagueis, they explain that the rule of two isn't really a rule of two. There's two visible Sith people, the Master and the Apprentice.
But there's ones in the background.
Correct.
Right. But
There are shadow Sith people.
but
So the idea is the rule of two is that you only have two that people know about.
But in this case, I think that there's only one master though.
Correct.
There's several apprentices.
There's several apprentices with one master.
Right.
And they imply in that book that can happen
And
as
that-
long as one person is the visible master and the rest are the shadow puppets underneath that person. That's allowed.
See, I also always got the sense that, the apprentice is always trying to overthrow the master
Yes.
eventually,
Yes.
and
Yes.
by doing so, they're already trying to set up their apprentice
Correct.
that will move into that step. So
Correct.
I always felt like, obviously Vader's working with the Inquisitor. But like I said, I always felt that Dooku had set up Grievous to possibly move into that position if Dooku was ever going to take out
Correct.
Sidious. So to me, it's always felt like it's a betrayal system. It's always about
Well,
Yep. It is.
It is a system of betrayal, and it's also a system to keep everybody on their toes, so that the Master never gets complacent. Because that was one of their arguments against the Jedi, is that the Jedi Masters, the Council itself, got complacent because nobody could challenge the Council.
Right.
Nobody could go up there and be like, "Well, I don't like what you have to say," because they just wouldn't listen to them anyway. So the Sith came up with a system where the Masters never really totally in charge, that somebody is always trying to gun for that guy,
Right.
and
And-
take him out.
And the apprentices that are out there don't know about the other ones.
Right.
And I think Vader found out about this Inquisitor, and I think the whole added bonus part in the first episode was that's the only reason why I'm keeping you alive is
Right.
to go after
These people
Right.
and get it done, and if you can prove it to me, then I'll keep you around.
Right.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
I'm going to make an old reference here,
That's
but I find
okay.
it interesting that the Sith have kind of based their system on a Cato Clouseau kind of dynamic. Every time he came home, Cato would attack him.
No, it's yeah, yeah.
And it's that same idea of, well, that's how I train. I keep someone is always set to take me out, and it keeps
Yes.
me on my toes.
Actually, that's very much, I think, the reference they make in the Sith doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very much so. Yes, we just dated ourselves. My son is now scratching his head.
I'm so confused.
I can just hear Vader walking in though.
Cater.
Inquisitor, Inquisitor, are you here?
Old Japanese movies. Austin.
Oh.
Yes. So
I see.
I guess it's time to rate this episode.
Yes.
Let's give it a rating and get this puppy done with.
I'll get out of the way.
All right.
A 3.
Oof.
Really?
Yes.
Why'd you go so low?
Yeah.
After the last episode, there's a big letdown in this one.
So you think the last episode was maybe
Well, I think
you got so built up? And
how
then
much
it's
of this
kind
was
a letdown?
expectations? How much of it was you were expecting a storyline about the parents and you got something entirely different?
I didn't want nothing about the parents, to be truthful with you.
Okay.
I wanted to see the whole dynamics of the whole team again,
Yeah,
like there was in the first one.
and we
Right.
really
First
only
part
got
of it.
two characters out
Right.
of the team out of it, and that's what my point was at the beginning with not having Zeb in there like almost at all. It was kind of like you missed part of the team. You know what I mean?
Right.
I agree with you there. Yeah, I can see that.
They took Chopper right out, which didn't really bother me one way or another.
You don't like comic relief ever anyway.
No.
Chopper's I like the idea of a snotty,
droid.
disgruntled robot, but he's too cartoonish.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, the whole comedy relief between the three of them anyway is
Never worked for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
period. And to go back to a place that we've already seen, yeah, it was a good idea, but at the same time, it's
Place
been
we've already
used.
seen.
Boring.
Right.
Right.
And you got these creatures that you have no idea what they are, or where they're, how they got there, or anything else. And it just was weak, in my opinion.
Do you think you'd been better with it if that had happened a couple episodes down the road? You know what I mean? If some other things that happened in between, and maybe they came back to that planet, maybe 5 episodes down the road. Do you think you'd feel a little bit better
with a better reason than just
than just this? They're getting tracked. Okay. All right, so we'll go counterclockwise. Austin, what would you give this one? 0 being a don't bother, 10 being a must see.
I had to go 5.
5.
It's intense action. It's some things that are thinking strategically. But man, Kanan gets his ass handed to him. He's weak. He needs to be either A, given steroids, or B, strengthened by Captain America's serum.
Okay.
Tying in the front conversation.
Okay. Eric, what would you give?
I'm gonna
this
go
one?
6.5.
Okay.
I don't want to go as high as a 7 because then you're starting to get into this is a really good. It's an enjoyable top
Right.
level episode. So I'm gonna go right about there. I didn't have a problem with them reusing. Like I said, I actually thought it was an interesting idea, so it didn't bother me them going back to the planet and reusing the creatures from
Yeah.
a couple episodes ago. I don't like I said, Kanan is not a character that's working for me yet. I need something from him to make me really like him and be interested in him rather than just he's a rogue. He's a half Han Solo, half Jedi character. Well, he needs something more, and he's still too weak.
Right.
I liked the Inquisitor better in this episode than most. He finally
Yes.
felt a little menacing.
I was
to me.
gonna say, didn't he finally feel the meaning to like he was
Yeah.
evil? Like he had felt the evil.
That was the only saving grace in the whole episode.
Absolutely.
I like that you mentioned him just taking the lightsaber from
Yeah, just like-
Ezra in a half second. Like,
Yeah.
no, you don't even hold on to that.
You don't need that.
And I think there was an important moment in here of Ezra touching the dark side. I think if we do our rating system being how important is it to the overall story arc too, I think that was probably I feel like that could be important. And the typical is you're going to go which way, but there could be more there. I didn't mind the team split up dynamic because when you think about it, like Empire Strikes Back, the team isn't together for most of the movie. They're
Yeah.
only together. So some of the better Star Wars have taken place with multiple storylines in different places. Granted, we didn't cut back to the Ghost. It
That's
really
what I was gonna
stuck
say.
with
That's
them.
the difference between.
But we
Empire
also
Strikes
only
Back.
have a half hour.
This is true.
So I think they just focused on these two as a storyline. I think it was, to me, it didn't bother me because it was 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. It's not like we're talking 3 episodes of them by themselves and it gets
Right.
tiring. I love for the first time ever, I liked the red lightsaber. I thought it was the more interesting
A
to
cool
watch
use for it.
and better use with it kind of being shield-like and all that. And I've always liked when he throws it. I think that could be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, I didn't have too many problems with it. It wasn't top-notch super action, just wow, interesting, and I'm cliffhanger ending. But I think it had some important points, and it didn't disappoint me.
Right. I give it a 6 too. Not a 6.5, but just a 6. For a couple of reasons. There were some things I liked about it. I'll agree. The Inquisitor seemed menacing. The things that lacked on was maybe a cutback to the Ghost. Just 2 minutes of what was going on in the Ghost while all this was going on. You know what I mean? Were they worried? Were they still on the run? Like what happened between that
there-
time?
Oh, we did cut to them. They connected with that one ship.
Well, yeah, that's right.
And
They
we
did-
heard
we did hear about it. That's
it
right.
was
I
what's
forgot.
his name?
Yeah, at the end of it, though, it would have been nice if they just cut back to him and have him.
I thought that was early on that they showed that because
No,
I remember
that
I remember
was
thinking
almost
they were going
towards
to
the
cut
end.
they were going to cut back to it. I remember thinking, "Oh, are we going to see more about who this guy is?" And
That's
we never
right.
did.
We never really found out who.
Well,
What's the code name for the
I
guy?
can't remember.
I can't remember either. There's
Fulcrum.
Fulcrum.
Yeah, we're waiting to find out.
Of
Who
course,
Fulcrum
Gary and
is.
I have our. We both think it's the same guy. We both think that Fulcrum is
Bail
Go ahead.
Organa.
Bail Organa, which we feel that it's got to be Bail Organa. It makes sense if it's Bail Organa anyway. But
What if? You know what? I got a theory.
Who do you think it is?
Leia?
What if it's Ezra's dad?
Oh, Ezra's father. Oh.
Well, what if
That's
Ezra's
interesting.
father is Bail Organa?
Oh, double O.
I didn't think about that.
Oh, Gary just brought it. Now you're Dave Filoni.
That
It's
would
okay.
make Ezra Leia's stepsister.
Stepbrother.
Brother,
yeah.
I mean?
Stepbrother. Yeah, it should be his stepsister.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be an interesting family dynamic. I'd love to go home to Thanksgiving on that one.
So how's Dad? Still evil? Yeah.
Still evil? Yeah. So anyway,
Never relates him to Luke, doesn't he?
Again, stepbrother.
stepbrother. Yeah. So
Not a blood relation.
that's a couple of the reasons. I mean, to me, I'll agree. The Kanan thing kind of weak.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for him to. I'm waiting to like him.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I don't really care for anybody in this whole show.
So far, yeah, I don't have a connection. to
I
anyone.
I
like.
the comedy team I don't like, and
To be honest with you, as soon as Clone Wars began, I felt a connection to Ahsoka. I got connected to that character. Like it or not, you
she
got
had the
connected to
benefit. She had the benefit of immediately being paired with Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Right.
She's in there with two characters we're already invested in.
Right.
So I think that really helped her. And this one is a clean slate cast. We're not invested in any of them. It's going to take longer.
I agree.
I'm willing to give them the time, but they got to step it up.
They got to start picking up what the expectation is here. There's no expectation yet. Pick up what's the point behind these guys? What are they doing that's helping the Rebel Alliance?
Yeah, it's
To me,
been very unexplained.
That's the big thing I would love to see is what are they doing that's actually helping the Rebels?
Yeah. I know they've
fight the
stopped some
Empire.
guns and they've
Right,
blown
like,
up that.
but to me, that's
the source
all
of energy.
minor pickings. Let's see what the bigger picture
Yeah.
is. Haven't seen that yet. Maybe
They've hinted. They've
maybe
hinted.
the whole Fulcrum thing will bring that all to light.
I mean,
but
what's her name? What's the pilot name again?
Hera.
Hera.
Hera has hinted, saying, I can't. You trust me on this. We're not alone. There's
Right.
more involved.
There's
There's
more
been
involved,
hints,
but
but
there's
it's almost
just
like
not
Lost.
enough.
Answer some
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, there's not enough there.
Not to
So-
mention, back on the R2D2 C3P episode, R2D2 was tracking the rebels there.
Correct.
That could be a possible link to Bail Organa, which would probably
Yeah.
tie
which
something
there was
else.
at the end of that episode.
Yes. So I mean, so that's why I give it a 6. It's not like you said. If you give it a 7, it's like one of those episodes
Yeah.
you got to see. It's not a must see. The sad part is, you're right, Gary. We leave the last episode on this like, wow, that was an awesome episode, and we come into this one with like that expectation, and I think that's why it's a letdown because compared to that episode, this is just kind of meh
Yeah.
compared to it, and we got to stop having these meh episodes to get us excited
Yeah,
about
they
this.
just ran out of steam in this part.
It's like the writers didn't know
Yeah.
where to go.
Yeah, they brought the
Ugh.
sonic screwdriver out.
Yeah.
Which is the asteroid planet.
That's the thing. Like they keep setting the chess pieces up, but then nobody really does the checkmate. No, let's bring all the pawns back. It's
Yeah.
like really no. Let's do the checkmate. Let's go. Let's do this thing. Okay.
Let's win the game.
That's right. So that's what we have to say about this episode of Star Wars Rebels. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Head over to the GalaxyCast website at galaxycast.com, and at the top right corner, fill out that information that says Contact the GalaxyCast, and let us know what you thought of this episode. And as we always like to say here in the Star Production Studios,
May the Force be with those who listen.
Oh, we're getting like really good with that now.
Yeah.
So that's it, folks. Hope you all had a good night. We had a good night.
Hasta luego.
I know we went off topic way too much, but who cares? This is us.
This
go
is
off
what
topic.
we do.
Stay
He's
off topic.
wearing a Captain America hoodie. How
I
can
can't
we
help
not
it.
go off topic
Yes,
and talk
absolutely.
comics?
I got to change.
And I'm
sweatshirts
sorry.
next time.
And you know what? That's probably where we should have brought the comics in a little bit. Maybe we could talk about that next episode. The whole Dark Horse losing them and Marvel taking them, and do we think they're going to be
We could.
successful?
Absolutely, we could. Okay, so with that, folks, bye.
Bye.
Good
night.
night.